Good evening. Never measure your life by possessions. Measure it by the hearts you touched, the smiles you created, and the love you shared. Welcome to BMC English News Live. Myself, Marina Francis, joining you with the news updates. Today's news in detail. Bahrain gears up to launch its own nano satellite into space. It has been revealed. The launch date for 3U CubeSat will be unveiled before the year's end, said National Space Science Agency NSSA Chief Executive Dr. Mohammed Al-Asiri. CubeSats are miniature satellites that are commonly used in low Earth orbit for applications such as remote sensing or communications. We have started building the satellite and hope to announce the launch during National Day celebrations, said Dr. Al-Asiri yesterday. Launching the satellite will open up massive opportunities in commerce, industry, education, and infrastructure. We are keen on opening up for investments in space projects and are working on new programs for entrepreneurship and companies. The ambitious plan is in pipeline with our partners Tamkeen and the Bahrain Chamber as we seek to get interest in future business projects. Dr. Al-Asiri was speaking during a Zoom meeting with UAE officials to announce partnership details in the field of investments in the space sector. In 2018, he had said that the nano satellite would be designed to study the environment, transmit weather data, and collect information on emissions of harmful substances into the atmosphere. A team of 9 people, including 2 women from NSSA, will be working on the low-cost nano satellite in collaboration with the UAE Space Agency and Khalifa University, Abu Dhabi. Quarantine rules eased. Vaccinated and COVID-19 recovered Green Shield holders who have come in close contact with a coronavirus patient will no longer be required to quarantine, it was announced yesterday. The rule, effective from today, is part of updated protocols announced by the National Task Force to combat COVID-19. However, Green Shield holders will have to undergo 2 RT-PCR tests on the 1st and 7th days from the date of contact with the patient. Those without a Green Shield will have to quarantine for 7 days as well as take the mandatory RT-PCR tests on the 1st and the 7th days after contact, the task force said. It also urged people who show symptoms to get tested for the virus. The updates follow national indicators proving the effectiveness of vaccination and booster dose in raising the body's immune response. The task force also added that the updated protocol would not apply to those detected as close contacts of infected individuals until today. Climate change could impact the region and increase the risk of conflicts over shrinking national resources, warned Bahrain's Environment Chief. Supreme Council for Environment SCE Chief Executive Dr. Mohammed bin Diana called on all countries to address the crisis, failing which they could witness disputes over water, agricultural land, food, forests and fisheries. Last month, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that a major decline in precipitation and a rise in extreme weather events in the Middle East and North Africa was harming water and food security. MENA is among the world's most water-stressed and climate-vulnerable regions. Dr. bin Diana, who is also His Majesty King Hamad's Special Envoy for Climate Affairs, was speaking yesterday at the 2nd International Conference on Climate Change in the Mediterranean and the Middle East, Challenges and Solutions, held in Cyprus. The 2-day event in hybrid format, which concluded yesterday, gathered policymakers, experts and decision makers who discussed ways to form a regional climate action plan for the Eastern Mediterranean and the Middle East EMME region. Climate change does not directly cause conflict, but it can increase the risk of conflict by exacerbating existing social and economic and environmental challenges when countries and people are forced to share the scarce resources. For example, in our region, it will be water, agricultural land to secure food, forests and fisheries, said Dr. Bin Diana. BIGS returns in March after 2-year hiatus. Under the patronage of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, the support of Her Royal Highness Prince Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, wife of His Majesty the King and President of the Consultative Council of the National Initiative for Agricultural Development, the Bahrain International Garden Show (BIGS) will be held on March 1st, 2022. The show will be open to the public from March 2nd to the 5th at the Bahrain International Exhibition Center. The upcoming 2022 Bahrain International Garden Show has the theme Water, Regenerating Life and focuses on water and ways to preserve it to ensure its sustainability. The show has the patronage of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and the support of Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, wife of His Majesty the King and President of the Consultative Council for the National Initiative for Agriculture Development. Bahrain yesterday recorded one more COVID-19 death alongside 50 new cases and 49 recoveries. The country last recorded a death due to the coronavirus on October 5th. Yesterday's death raises the total fatalities to 1,391. Of the new cases, 11 were expat workers, 36 contacts of local cases and 3 travel related. An additional 49 people recovered. Of the 621 active cases, 7 people are receiving treatment and 3 are in a critical condition. His Highness Sheikh Nasser hails Cordoba CF's performance. Cordoba CF edged past Juventud Torremolinos in the round of 16 of Spanish Federation Cup. Cordoba CF staged a comeback to beat Juventud 2-1 and book a berth in the RFEF Cup quarter-finals. His Majesty the King's representative for humanitarian work and youth affairs, His Highness Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa, praised the performance of the team under Bahraini presidency. He hailed players' winning spirit and strong determination to achieve good results, which will motivate them to continue their unbeaten run in the coming matches. Now we will be back after a very short break.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
Every piece of jewelry tells a story. Its raw beauty speaks of its natural origins. The brilliant design speaks of unparalleled craftsmanship. Its elegance evokes the passion and energy of those who wear it. At Al Siraj Jewelry, our story, our pride.
Welcome back. Saudi Arabia to lift some COVID-19 restrictions from Sunday. Saudi Arabia will start easing COVID-19 restrictions from Sunday, allowing gatherings and lifting some mask mandates for fully vaccinated individuals, the Interior Ministry announced Friday. Masks in open spaces will no longer be mandatory for fully vaccinated individuals, although members of the public must still wear them in closed spaces and areas that are not monitored by the Tawakkalna tracing app. Social distancing regulations will also be dropped and public places, transportation, restaurants, cinemas and other gatherings monitored by Tawakkalna will be allowed to operate at full capacity, fully vaccinated individuals. Other rules to be dropped include a cap on visitors to Mecca's Grand Mosque. Devotees who have received both vaccine doses will now be able to visit the mosque while wearing a mask and using the Umrah tracking app. The same rules will apply to the Prophet's Mosque in Medina. Events in wedding halls will be allowed with no restrictions on attendance, although those involved must still comply with the remaining precautions, including masks in closed spaces. The Interior Ministry stated that the rules were subject to change depending on the development of the pandemic. Different rules may also be enforced in different areas of the kingdom depending on local infection rates. 1.9 magnitude quake felt in Dibba Al Fujairah. A light magnitude 1.9 earthquake hit Dibba Al Fujairah at 21:14 Thursday UAE time, according to the National Center of Meteorology. The NCM said the tremor was slightly felt in the region but had no impact on the UAE. Date sheet for offline CBSE board exams to be released on October 18th. The first term board examinations for grades 10 and 12 will be conducted offline in November to December, and the date sheet for the same will be announced on October 18th. The exams will be objective type and the duration of the tests will be 90 minutes. The exams will start at 11:30 a.m. instead of 10:30 a.m., keeping in view the winter season. The final results will be announced after the first and the second term examination. Practical exams or internal assessments will be completed in schools before the first term exams are over. The second term examination would be conducted in March to April 2022, and whether it will be objective or subjective type will depend on the COVID situation in the country. India reopened to fully vaccinated foreign tourists traveling on chartered flights on Friday in the latest easing of its coronavirus restrictions as infection numbers decline. Foreign tourists on regular flights will be able to enter India starting November 15th. It is the first time India has allowed foreign tourists to enter the country since March 2020, when it imposed its first nationwide coronavirus lockdown. It is unclear whether arriving tourists will have to quarantine, but they must be fully vaccinated and test negative for the virus within 72 hours of their flight. The decision announced earlier this month by India's Home Ministry comes as the country's daily infections have dropped below 20,000 from a peak of 400,000 in May, and more people have been vaccinated. India has administered more than 970 million vaccine doses. Nearly 70% of the eligible adult population has had at least one dose. FDA panel endorses lower dose Moderna COVID shot for booster. US health advisors said Thursday that some Americans who received Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine should get a half-dose booster to bolster protection against the virus. The panel of advisors to the Food and Drug Administration voted unanimously to recommend a booster shot for seniors and adults with other health problems, jobs or living situations that put them at increased risk of COVID-19. The recommendation is non-binding, but it is a key step toward expanding the US booster campaign to millions more Americans. Many people who got their initial Pfizer shots at least 6 months ago are already getting a booster after the FDA authorized their use last month. As for the dose, initial Moderna vaccination consists of 200 microgram shots. But Moderna says a single 50 microgram shot should be enough for a booster. 90-year-old Star Trek actor William Shatner becomes the oldest person to fly to space. Legendary Canadian actor William Shatner's real-life career turned into a reality after he blasted into the space on Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket on Wednesday. The 90-year-old Shatner, best known for his portrayal of Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise in the Star Trek franchise, became the oldest person to go to space. Bitcoin hits $60,000 for first time in 6 months. Bitcoin hit $60,000 for the first time in 6 months on Friday, nearing its record high as traders grew confident that US regulators would approve the launch of an exchange-traded fund based on its futures contracts. Cryptocurrency investors have been waiting for approval of the first US ETF for Bitcoin, whose recent rally has been fueled in part by anticipation of such a move, which is seen as speeding up the mainstream adoption of digital assets. Bitcoin, the world's biggest cryptocurrency, rose 4.5% to its highest level since April 17th and was last at $59,030. It has risen by more than half in value since September 20th and is now close to its all-time high of $64,895. And over 100 million Indians own crypto, highest in the world. The country has now more than 100 million crypto owners in the world, according to broker discovery and comparison platform Broker Chooser. The total number of crypto owners in India now stands at 100.07 million, which puts it ahead of every other country in the world. Global COVID-19 cases crossed 239.63 million. Over 239.63 million people have been reported to be infected by COVID-19 globally, and over 5.8 million people have died, according to a Reuters tally on Friday. Infections have been reported in more than 210 countries and territories since the first cases were identified in December 2019. With that news, we come to the end of today's news updates. We shall be back every day at 7:30 p.m. with the daily news updates in English. Good night.